Please join me in giving Debby Potter a warm Pachyderm Club welcome.
I am normally really fine talking in front of crowds, but I am truly nervous in front of you guys. I have been preparing for this and I've been reviewing it. This is like version 4 and I finally gave up on saving new versions. But I want to thank you for allowing me to be here today. I did want to start off with my verse. This verse, because I have many people in the city, actually comes from Acts 18:9-10. And something like 20 years ago, I've never, ever been a demure person in my life. And so I've had situations I got myself into that made me very scared, very upset. And one time I was opening my Bible saying, God, help me with this. And I looked down, I saw it was Acts, and I was like, oh, I don't want to read about Paul's missionary journeys. I want to hear from you. And then I looked again, and it had red letters in Acts. And so this is what I read. One night the Lord spoke to Paul in a vision. Do not be afraid. Keep on speaking. Do not be silent, for I am with you. And no one is going to attack and harm you because I have many people in this city. And I felt that was very precious for this group because you guys supported me a lot. And I really cannot tell you enough how much I know that a lot of people have my back as I'm going through this. So this picture, that's what I was thinking I was getting to, was my swearing-in ceremony. My husband, Greg, are you wearing the same shirt? No, you have a jacket on there. Okay. Anyway, our swearing-in picture, and I wanted to thank John, too, for introducing me because John and I spent 4 of my 5 years on the Government Affairs Committee for the Realtors Association together. And we fought the good fight together on personal property rights. I am telling you that is a fight, and it's a fight worth having. And so 4 years ago, when President Trump and all the shenanigans of that election happened, I started to get very angry and praying and saying, okay, God, I want to join this fight. I'm getting to be an old lady. Where can you plug me in? And I really thought he was going to throw me over to John and do some property rights. But I felt him clear as day, said, look out after the children. And so that is why I am there. And this picture is from up in Topeka. So unfortunately, I'm not very political. So when I did decide, okay, State Board of Education, because I don't have any kids in the local board. That's literally how much thought went into it. I was praying and I just knew God told me to look out after the children. So I said, hey, Carl, State Board of Education. And he goes, okay, Debbie, you're going to have to wait 3 years. And I was like, really? Oh, well. So, and because Jim had said he'd step aside, but he'd already just been elected. So anyway, a year before. So I spent that time going up to Topeka and learning. And Michelle Dombrowski, I would say she is probably one of your most educated conservative voices up there. We won't all agree with her on everything. I don't agree with her on everything, but she and I have had conversations for 3 years that have really taught me some things I didn't understand. And so I have been preparing for this for a very, very long time. And one of the things, though, that I was not prepared for is that you're talking the system. The system is not designed to address us, right? The system is against us. But also, it was a liberal board. So it's very hard to gauge the conservative voice on that liberal board. I got to know the people. I had lunch with most all of them. But knowing how will you handle yourselves when you get into that position. And so now I get on the board and things were not as I thought they would be. As far as our State Board of Education, I do not believe it is a majority that I thought it would be, okay? I will show you the makeup later, but we basically have 7 Republicans, 3 Democrats. We have 4 liberals, and I would have thought we had 6 conservatives, and we do have 6 conservatives. I won't say that wrongly. We do have 6 conservatives. But 2 of them, I do not believe, are as strongly conservative. I'm not getting the votes on things that I thought we would. So I'll get to that. The other point I want to cover is that the system runs the boards. The boards do not run the systems. Anybody who's on a local school board knows this is true. It's true at the state, too. You have your superintendents telling you what you need to bobblehead. We have our commissioner telling us what we need to bobblehead, okay? So with that, I'll address some of that. And then the educational finances, it's a tangled ball of yarn. I'm a crocheter, so Greg told me to use that. But it's a mess. It's a mess, and we've been spending 9 months digging in, trying to understand it. I do have a letter from my campaign director who helped me, and I'll get into that a little bit more too, but I'm afraid I'll misspeak what she knows, if that makes sense, but I'll do my best to represent her properly. So, to the point that our State Board of Education is not the majority that I thought it would be. This was probably my most disheartening thing. I found it in January. It happened right off. And I brought you some examples so that you can see what I saw. So in January, we had 3 votes that came down to a split voting record, okay? On those voting, and I've got, can you see that? Okay, on that voting record, understand this is subjective to me, all right? So we're voting for our policy committee. There's only 3 members on the policy committee. The policy committee, as anybody knows, is very important, right? Yeah, I mean, this is your bylaws, basically, that's within the group. And now Betty Arnold had been on there a lot of years. She was just kind of a shoo-in. She got voted number 1 right away. So we had 2 more seats left. So up here, you'll see on item number 1, Melanie Haas came up as the next person that was going to be voted on. She was a past chair, very professional, but very liberal. Okay, she's going to be liberal every time. Just know it. That's just who she is. And so she really needed not to be voted in if we were going to have a conservative policy committee. All right. So they vote, and lo and behold, it is 6-4. She wins. And I couldn't believe it. We had 2 people who voted for her. So now we have 3 Democrats and 7 Republicans on the board, and 2 Democrats are on the policy committee. So the last one was going to be a Republican because there was only Michelle up, and then after Michelle was Dennis. So when the vote came up for Michelle, she got voted down. Probably the most conservative Republican we have up there got voted down. And you can see by the red, to me, the red is a liberal vote, okay? Green is your conservative vote, all right? I'll go to the next slide. I will show you a map that shows this a little bit better. Then we go to February. So I'm sitting here, I'm starting to have a little bit of a mind scramble going on. One of the things I ran on is that we need to slow down our voting. We need to slow down our conversations. We need to have conversations before we vote so we have a chance to be educated on the vote, not be told how to vote. So if y'all remember, we had a snowstorm in February. So our vote for this $8.5 million to the pilot preschool funds was coming up on the agenda. And so I had been told we don't have time to talk about it. They knew I had issues over pre-K. A study that came out that showed pre-K was actually harming the children. We had not even had a conversation about this. So I said, well, maybe it's not pre-K, but maybe what about our pre-K is harming children? We can't have a conversation about that. We just had to vote. And so I made a motion to table it. And I got a second, and it did not pass. We had a snowstorm. We had a canceled day of meetings. Every reason in the world to table it. The person, the Department of Education pre-K gal who has given us the presentation said that we don't normally vote on this till April anyway. So there was no pressure. And yet, 2 votes went against me. And so then we had a vote to spend $8.5 million on a pilot program that's been around for over 10 years, which was Connie's big issue. She goes, how's it a pilot program still? So you'll see Connie's is present not voting. She was still really confused about how's it a pilot program? But there are 4 of us who voted against, just saying, yeah, we'll spend $8.5 million on pre-K that we don't know about. And the other 6 voted yes. So there you go. And in March, we didn't have any split votes. But that was kind of the voting record of January and February. And I was very disheartened by this. To give you a map, this is who everybody is, where they are in the state of Kansas. And I made check marks to follow those votes that I just told you about, the 4 that I felt were the most divisive. You can definitely tell you're all 4s for your I can tell you who you have that are Democrats is Dr. New, Melanie Haas, and Betty Arnold, who is liberal. Like, I don't know, in the 3 years I was up there, I don't think I knew that he was a Republican until the 3rd year because I thought he was a Democrat, is Jim Porter. He always votes Democrat. He always does, always has, I've seen. Your 4 conservatives are Danny, Connie, Michelle, me. Dennis is a good God-fearing man. I don't think he realizes what he's doing. I really, really do not think he does. He needs to hear from his constituents. He needs to hear that he needs to stand with these conservative votes, because even if I don't understand why Danny and Michelle, who have more experience than I am, are voting a certain way, I know that they probably are a pretty good lead for me. Okay, I usually have my own opinions, but I do know when to follow leads on that kind of stuff. Another thing that the State Board of Education did is they took opposition, written opposition, to SB 275, which is now sub SB 2382, if you're following it. Basically, all this was Kansans Right for Life saying, hey, we want you to have 3-minute video that goes over the life cycle of a baby in the womb. High definition video, doesn't even have to have a narrative, just 3 minutes of watch, okay? So that these children actually know what's going on when their mom's having a baby, okay? How controversial can that be? But we are in opposition to it, despite 90 years of this being taught in our textbooks. If y'all, I don't know, you guys are Kansan. I was raised in Minnesota, a little bit of Colorado, a little bit of Hawaii. I got a lot of that. I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I didn't become a Christian until I was 24. I just thought that was cool. So, you know, this, and if, for those who don't, ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny. Basically, it's just saying that in mammals, every fetus, I guess you'll call it, in the womb is going to go through all those evolutionary processes. Even the baby's going to go through the stage where it has gills and all of that before it gets to that final stage of babyhood. It dehumanizes the human baby in the womb. So all this bill did was try to undo 90 years. Think about that's 3 generations of parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents who have been indoctrinated into lies. And I have, in my homework here, I've got a lot of homework for you guys. I have a page that shows 9 icons of falsehoods that were taught in our science books. How can we not have the opportunity to have that undone or addressed to this generation? Because the parents are going to be teaching them wrong things that they were taught, you know. So sorry, I should have let you. Okay, but these games don't only persist at the state level, okay? The system, it runs the boards, right? We know that many boards are asleep at the wheel. The local administrations are controlling and intimidating. This came to light on a bond issue. I followed up with an email to, I think it was Nest City, to their members, their local board members. I said, hey, this bond issue, you guys are split. I mean, it passed, but you guys are like 4-3. What's the story? Because that tells me you don't really want it. Because there's a lot of pressure on those local board members to vote for their bond issues, okay? So if they manage a split vote, that's pretty strong. And I got 2 emails back, and they said that they were told that their schools would not get repaired if they didn't pass it. That's a lot of pressure, okay? So, you know, pray for your local school board members, encourage them, and let them stand up to the superintendent and say, yeah, try not to repair it, because we can tell you to. They don't remember that. They have that power. So SB 47, a law that causes board members to provide contact information. I don't know, some of you are very familiar with this. This was one of the first things I came across. And is Ginger here today? No? Oh, shucks. Okay, well, it was in her school district. It's how I met her. But I had a parent with a problem, and I said, okay, I'm going to get a hold of the local school board members. Not able to. No phone number, no email. Now, if I had gone down further, Ginger had a non-working number at the time, but there was one person I found eventually that had a number, but the chair and the vice chair, no number, no email. I called the superintendent's office. I said, can I get phone numbers, email, something for the chair, vice chair? Nope. And I said, okay, I haven't sworn in yet, but I just got elected. Can I have it now? Nope. So I still don't have the chair and the vice chair's contact information for local school district Goddard, okay? Goddard. So, well, I mean, not to throw Goddard under the bus. I'm telling you, I spent 3 days because I asked at the Department of Education, can you give me the contacts for all of my local school board members? Now, should I have been able to get that from my own Department of Education? No. They would give me a book of superintendents. I said, I don't want the superintendents. I said, I ran on this. I will not call a superintendent unless I am forced to. I talked to the local school board members. I spent 3 days tracking down that information myself as best I could, and out of about 250 local school board members, I have found precisely 90 emails. That's how bad it is. And I do believe that SB 47 just died in committee. I don't know how all that political stuff works, but we can't. They really, really fight this, okay? They don't want us talking. We need to talk. We are in that chain of command. I'm a military gal. I know my chain of command. I'm elected, you're elected. We need to be talking, and the administration, they need to be talking to. They have their place, they have their purpose, but they keep trying to make us play operator through them. And that's not okay. I need that direct line with our locals, and they need that direct line to me. And I get that. They even call me. Thank you. I'll let you. So I asked myself, what do I think? These are all my opinions. This is the world according to Debbie you're getting today. So what does the system want? I think they want to indoctrinate. I think they want DEI, CRT, SEL to reach that conclusion. They want money, money, money. We have to do something different? Well, it's going to cost money. You know, we have to discipline the children. That's going to cost money. We need more teachers. That's going to cost money. We have to teach children how to read. That's going to cost like $2 million. I watched that vote go down. That was one of the few votes I saw go down. In the 3 years I was up there studying. They want less accountability. Look at SB 47. That is all that's about. They can say, oh, we don't want, here's like the big one was identity theft. If we put their information out there, we have to worry about identity theft. And then one person dared, I think I saw Renee Erickson maybe scoff a little bit. One person dared to say, well, they're afraid of getting hurt. I'm like, I have had my number out there all over the place, and I'm a big mouth, and I have not yet been hurt, okay? So just let you know that. They love more bureaucracy. Bureaucracy is what they can hide behind, right? We were having the conversation, laws, strings attached to money. The more strings attached to money, the more they can scare their State Board of Education board members and their local school board members. You have to vote this way. It's law. And I've seen that happen in the little bit of time I was up at the state board. I can tell you one of those little red marks against Dennis was because he later told me, he goes, Debbie, they told us we have to vote that way. He really believed that, though, because he was intimidated, and I heard why he was intimidated, okay? You can video, the meetings are on videotape. So he's a good man. He just needs to get some courage from his people, okay? So not to throw these people under the bus, but he doesn't see this chart that I just made. So I didn't show it to him, but anyway, okay. Okay, Gary's not standing yet. Okay, so educational finances. This is not really my wheelhouse, but it has to be. So I am overstudied on this, but I can tell you that it is a mess, and I believe it is intentionally a mess, okay? So I said, I'm still trying to find the money, let alone follow it, okay? We haven't been able, I have a team. I do have a team. Namely, poor Susan, but she is my campaign director, and I told her, oh, Jim said he hasn't had anybody run against him for 12 years. It'll be easy. You won't have to do a thing. Famous last words, because I had everybody run against me, and she's still working with me, not for me, with me. But anyway, and then we have the assistance of one legislator who, Christy Williams. She's rocking. Anyway, she provided us a revisor. That did not result in any additional information that Susan was not able to dig up on her own, okay? Then I got sworn in, and I'm thinking, okay, I'll be able to get some inside scoop. I talked to the director of fiscal auditing. I said, Susan's going to be contacting you. She needs numbers. She needs information. She sent her 2 emails, no responses. So then the vice chair, Danny Zeck, said, Debbie, I'll follow up on that for you. And I do believe Danny is probably the reason that the board has as much conservative leadership as it does have. We are having some more open meetings for our retreat. There's some changes. I had a chance to spout off at the end of every Tuesday meeting. That's Danny. So I do appreciate the work that he's been doing for that. But he is requesting that information in a follow-up, and that's been 2 weeks. Still haven't heard anything, but we have meetings next week, and so he may not have fully gotten back to it yet. And I'll have to let you know next time. But I did think we would have had more inside access, And so I started floating the idea to the other state board of education members that I have a plan for this. I have an idea. I've been talking to Susan, I got thoughts, right? So, compatible state local reporting, with the state providing a standard form that automatically reports for the USDs, the federal and state relevant funds. The problem we have is we have federal funds coming in through the state, we have federal funds coming straight to the schools, and oh, by the way, we've already seen some schools didn't report that as income, but reported it as outgoing to the paras and stuff like that. So it's just, and it wasn't, I don't think the USDs necessarily have any, I don't think these people were trying to do anything wrong. They just really don't know what they're doing. I mean, you've got money coming from this direction, that direction, going out over here, out over there. There is no really good way, and I don't want to misrepresent. I do have letters from Susan I will share with you guys. I copied it off because she is so smart. And you can just take it and read it for yourself. I'll find it. And my assistant was going to grab it for me, but I can't even give it to him. So the state should track all federal education funding that's coming into Kansas. Even if it's coming directly to the school, I think the schools should be reporting that to the state, because there's no, when you start getting those USDs, she literally has to look up like 35 reports for every single fund. And that's just for one district. Then we have over 200 districts. It's intentionally impossible for you to really get down into the numbers. She's been doing it for 9 months. And in no way should it stand, okay, this is where I get the pushback. In no way should a standardized form dictate how the local USDs choose to spend their funds, except those items encumbered by law. Okay, I get the pushback, well, that's local control. Well, they need help. They need a lot of help. They need state, they need that oversight, they need that general supervision to give them the tools they need to properly account for the money in a way that the taxpayers can follow it. They want that, okay, I'm sure they do. I'll let them. But anyway, we need to give that to them. That does not mean you're telling them how to spend it. It's just telling them that how to account for it, okay? There's a difference there, and I respect that difference. So let's see. So I have some ideas of what we need to focus on here. Our Kansas State Constitution. I cannot believe how many Board of Education members don't even know what the Constitution says about education. I had state board members tell me local school board members only have general supervision of the schools. And I said, no, that's us. We're the ones with general supervision. I said, they have like 3 words: maintain, control, 3 words, okay, everything. They operate, they have everything, okay? And they have that power and they don't know it. They're awake, they're asleep, okay? They're not following it. Many of our local school boards are asleep at the wheel. That's what's my next point. We, the people, are ultimately responsible for keeping them awake. Go and tell them, here, read your Constitution. Your superintendent does not operate, maintain, and control this school. You do, okay? You maintain, control, and operate what the superintendent does in the school, okay? Not that the superintendents aren't important, not to throw all superintendents under the bus, but they work for the board, okay? And they forget. The school board members are elected, who represent you, we the people, in their communities and districts. Do not let them hide behind the superintendents and other staff. I have seen this on local school board level. They say, well, the superintendent takes care of that. Well, there's a chain of command. They have to go to the teacher, then the principal, then the superintendent, and if they don't feel like they got any relief there, then they come to us. And I said, who told you that? Like the superintendents? I think they had a conference, okay? That's not the way it is. I said, the person might not even have children in that school. Your constituents might be 80 years old. They come directly to you. Okay, that's who they come. You voted for them. They voted for you. You talk to them. There's no in between people. They didn't vote via the superintendent for you. Straight. So I tell them that too. I'm not very demure. Do not let us hide behind the commissioner. Okay. I am not prone to hiding behind the commissioner. I don't think I'm his favorite person in the world. But I mean, our commissioner is very capable and competent to do a large number of things. So I do ask him to do things from time to time. If you ever feel like I'm hiding behind him, call me out. because I will talk to you. I follow up with parents. If parents call me and I have to turn them over to the commissioner to get that help through the administration, I follow up with them. Did you get the help you needed? And if they didn't, then I'm calling somebody else. So, or local school board members. Again, got a couple of towns I can't get a hold of. I'm like literally gonna have to drive there. I don't even know. I've talked to the city clerk. Cannot get a hold of them at all, okay? And then we must recognize that the natural order of things, the commissioners and superintendents represent the wants, needs of the system. Just give it a name, the system. The education system has a name, it's the system, okay? It drives education. I can die of a heart attack tomorrow. I think every one of us board members could die of a heart attack tomorrow. You'll re-elect some new people and the system will go on. The superintendents could die of a heart attack, the commissioner, whatever. The system will go on. The system is the system, okay? And it's up to us to push back and balance out the needs of the system, which the administrators and the superintendents are going to push their needs. By we the people, I represent you. You're the taxpayers. You're funding the system. And I say, nah, they don't want to pay for that. Okay? So, you guys are awesome. I was really nervous. So, anyway, so the system is a powerful and loud voice, okay? And it's in your electorate's ears. So I'm going to go to a retreat meeting on Monday. I actually found in the policy committee, I told Danny, you know what, by our policy, you're required to video stream that retreat. And Danny looked at it and he goes, huh, guess what we're going to do? And he did. So for the first time ever, the Monday retreat's going to be video streamed, okay? We're trying. Carl looks like he's ready to jump up. So anyway, and you're still sitting. Okay, so you need to be heard, especially, and I'm going to give you an assignment. Kathy called me, and I got a paper for this too. I have been pretty mouthy in the open mic period at the end of Tuesday meetings. It's really kind of fun. If you go on YouTube, you can see, I don't think I'm rude, but it's, I just kind of speak my mind. And anyway, this last time I spoke my mind, and I had the Dear Colleague letter, had a deadline. But you know what? We didn't need to worry our pretty little heads about that. I said, we need a special meeting. We need to call a special meeting. We need to say, and I've got copies of my letter here. I said, we need to know what does legal say? What do the other board members say? How are we going to respond? Let's make a plan. Our schools are going to want to know. Nada. And I complained to Danny, and Danny said, Debby, write a letter and ask, because he goes, you're not going to get 4 members who will call for a special meeting. And I had 3. And I never got more than 3. Michelle, Connie, and me, we were the only ones who were willing to call a special meeting that I knew of. I couldn't call everybody because of Open Meetings Act. So I sent out an email through the Department of Education saying, I think we need a special meeting, and these are the things I think we need it for. No response. Okay, so that Dear Colleague letter was ignored by the system, who was the largest voice in our chair's ear. Larger than my letter, larger than 3 people who wanted the meeting. Okay, so that's how much pressure is in this tug of war that we're in. Okay, but she and I went kind of toe to toe, because in the minutes, I got 1 sentence. Because we brought up DEI, I had the lawyer telling me stuff, I contradicted the lawyer because I was at the meeting and I knew what went down. I knew we had DEI. We have DEI in our state. They say we don't, but we do. There's a reason that Dave Traubert knew about TNTP. Okay, and there's a reason I knew about TNTP, because I was crocheting and Susan was looking. but we are following this. I listen to my constituents, right? But trying to fight this and trying to bring these things out, I got 1 sentence in the minutes. She raised some concerns or something like that. That's basically all I got. So you know what that told me? That was a really, really important letter that they don't want getting out. So I printed off 25 copies of it for you guys. So and I didn't even, I had another thing. I will tell you this, it was on my other slide. If you look up Kansan's can, okay, you'll see I have that little guy there with a little cap on his head. If you look up at the Humanist Manifesto, even easier to see is the logo for the Happy Humanist. That is our logo, okay? He matches, because they put the Happy Humanist doing all kinds of things, sports or out, making a pyramid, whatever. Ours is wearing a graduation cap, okay? So I think that I'm in a nutshell doing that. Oh, and this is I did want to leave off with 2 verses, because I don't want to be all doom and gloom, right? All you can do is speak. All you can do is bloom where you're planted, be a loudmouth like me, and whatever your hands find to do, do with your might, even if you're more demure than I am. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good, okay? I kind of fell on this a little bit yesterday. I had to apologize to Kathy because I was pretty harsh with her, but I was not happy about only getting 1 sentence in the minutes. It will always be 1 sentence, but you guys are going to get the whole letter. So I left room for Q&A, and perfect timing, because Gary stood up.
I'm in the back. Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you, guys.
I think you're doing the kind of work that we sent you there to do.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oops.
Okay, we have questions today, and we have time for them, so keep your hands up high. We'll try to get to you as soon as we can. We'll start here.
Hi, more of an offer. If you have the list of the people that you can't get in contact with, when you give that to me, we can see if we can track them down for you.
Oh, that would be amazing. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Greg, can you write that down for me? On your phone? On a text?
I have 2 questions, please. First question is, do you let the teachers teach slavery?
Can you say that again?
Slavery, do you let the teachers teach slavery in the class? Slavery.
Oh, slavery? Well, one that is well beyond my wheelhouse, because that's the local school board controls our curriculum. So we have like accrediting standards, but we don't get down into that level of detail in the accrediting standards. So if you feel like something is being misrepresented in your history books, then you really need to go to your local school boards, because the different schools have different curriculums too. So that's good. That is the good. That we do have a really, I think, good constitutionally set up system for education. If we are awake at the wheel, our legislators don't have to do so much.
I guess in Oklahoma, they want to let teachers teach slavery in Oklahoma. That's what I heard.
Oh, they're not teaching about slavery in Oklahoma? I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about that.
Another question is, do you provide health insurance coverage for the teachers?
Do I have
Health insurance coverage.
Oh, health insurance? They have capers. I'm sorry, I don't, is it Blue Cross Blue Shield? I don't know. Capers is retirement, that's right. I don't know. That's not I don't get my insurance through that. I'm elected. That is totally an administrative thing, and that is between the teachers and the contracts they make with their school districts and their superintendents and their local boards.
It's obvious to me we need more voices like you on the school board.
Oh, thank you, John. I already know what I'm going to talk about next Tuesday.
Question for you. At your school board meetings, do you have any citizens show up?
Oh, yes. As a matter of fact, that was one of the beauties of sitting out there for 3 years. I was just crocheting and listening. But I met a lot of moms and a lot of concerned citizens who were sitting out there in the audience with me. So I have a whole text chat group that they're always texting about something. That is something, though, thank you, that I didn't remember to bring up. The Trevor Project. Put that one on your radar. That is with those parents.
Does that help in the interest of transparency, having discussed the church picnic there?
What about transparency?
Having citizens there, does that help?
Yes.
Having discussed the church picnic being there?
Yes, so it's both a happy and a sad thing. I am sad for the people who go all the way to Topeka for their 3 minutes, because truly it's kind of like, okay, now that that's done, on with business, because the system tells you what your agenda is, right? Now, I can tell you Danny and Kathy have pushed back there. We have one thing on our agenda that is not system push next time. That is a change. That's a change for the positive, okay? But I'm this incremental stuff kills a fighter like me. I'm like, just, the agenda's yours. You control it all. Just do it. But
Debbie, we've got a few minutes. Can you tell us what the Trevor Project is?
yes, okay, so, and you might want this mom, you might want to invite her. This mom found the Trevor Project on her daughter's school-issued iPad. And so she got on there and she thought, what's this? And so she pretended to be her own son. I thought she pretended to be her own daughter. I think she pretended both. Her husband did too. He's a surgeon, okay? So they just pretended, and they went down the rabbit trail. Oh, I'm gender confused. My house is Christian house. I'm not understood, blah, blah, blah. How far will they go in their counseling? She was told to take her shirt off and take a picture of herself. Yeah, the counselors, so, and now you guys are getting the gossip version of it, because I did not do this. I did not get on the Trevor Project and pretend to be somebody. But it's in 259. I have a whole list in my notebook at home. I've gone through and just looked at all the 259s in Kansas that I can find that it's on. It is not on Goddard. I was going to let Ginger know that. Goddard does not have it, but 259 does. The Trevor Project, they have chat rooms. It's very dark. It's very occult. It's very gothic. She said that there's meetup groups. So if you say you're a student in the Wichita area, they have groups to meet in the Wichita area. So, you have to go as a parent and sign into the school and be background checked and all that kind of stuff. But you know what? If you're on the Trevor Project, you can just talk to any of the kids anytime. So if you're a counselor, or if you're in the group chat rooms, right? So we've opened the doors through these computers and electronics to the whole world out there. The whole world is theirs to talk to all kinds of pervs. And so this mom, she documented, well, see, that's the thing. I'm telling you what she told me, okay? You really should have her come here and present, because she could tell you firsthand what she did and not have it be just, via me.
Okay, got a question for Kathy?
Hi, Debbie. First of all, I want to thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Very much. I just want to say that there is a lot of the DEI and social justice things that come from the state that we are supposedly required to do. The curriculum is very much the responsibility of the local school board. As I learned, that when you go down curriculum that's recommended, you make the news, and believe me, Derby does share the contact information, because I heard from people all over the country about it. So
You're not in my district, though, so you don't count.
anyway, I just appreciate what you're doing.
Thanks.
I love the focus on getting the DEI and the civil engineering and all of that out, and just applaud you and hope that continues.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I just checked it out, the Trevor Project, so put on your phone, put the Trevor Project, and bring it all up.
Yeah, and yeah, you can look at it. It'll give you an escape. It is. It gives you an escape.
And now right here it says, when you click on it, it says, quick exit. Triple tap anywhere to quickly leave our site before you get into it.
And it'll erase your search history so that your parents don't know. Yeah. Yeah, I learned a lot from these moms that I was out there crocheting and talking to.
Okay, what was that?
Young lady, thank you for running, and thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
This is not news. As many of you know, I ran in one in 2008 and had many votes, 9-1. Following the money is extremely difficult. And it's still going on today. Each of you are very much to be complimented for voting against the bond issue here in Wichita. We had a chance for the voters to speak. Thank you for all the work that you guys did. My question to you is,
So I have struggled with that, and I've prayed about that because that's the politics of it, is it not? And I'm not a very political person. Greg can tell you I've really struggled with how do you build. I'm not going to be that person. So I have my strengths, I have my weaknesses. In the good cop, bad cop of things, it'll be one of those other 3 strong conservatives that'll have to build that coalition, because to build the coalition, you'll have to bring Dennis and Kathy over to a consistent 6-4 vote. You're not going to get the other 4. I don't even think Jim is pretty, he's been like that forever. So I think Kathy and Dennis are the answer to flipping the board, being 6. Honestly, I think I'm doing exactly what God wants me to do. And so I will leave the coalition building. Kathy is building, and Danny's probably the strongest coalition builder of the 4 of us. And he has made changes. So I have not hurt any changes. All the changes we have happened, I didn't hurt them at all. But me being the person I am, I raised 8 kids. I am somebody to be reckoned with. And so when I say this policy says it has to be live streamed, if I had told Kathy that, it would have gone nowhere. But Danny told her, and it went somewhere. So I have the ear of Danny. Danny has that more political finesse than I do. Michelle's probably a little bit more like me, and Connie is probably a little more like Danny. So I think God just kind of evenly split us in the good cop, bad cop of things. And we both serve a role, both the political and the fighter in me.
All right.
Thanks.